Hi, my name is Jay Carey, and with me today is Francisco Perez. We're both members of the ArcGIS Data Reviewer team here in Redlands, California. In today's presentation, we'll be covering the new data quality control capabilities that are included in ArcGIS Pro 2.9 and Enterprise 10.9.1. Data Reviewer enables customers to automate and simplify workflows that lower costs and create high-quality data. Automated review is a commonly used form of quality control. Very little human interaction is required, so this is the fastest and least expensive to implement. Data Reviewer has been an integrated component in attribute rule-based workflows for the last several releases. It assists in implementing attribute rules in the following ways. First, Reviewer provides a library of predefined validation methods that identify common errors in GIS data. These checks assess different aspects of a feature's quality that can include its integrity, properties such as its attribution, as well as a feature's spatial relationship with other features. Checks are easy to implement since they're configurable and do not require the creation of a custom arcade script. And finally, they're supported in both constraint workflows that enhance quality assurance in data production, as well as validation workflows that assess the quality of features that already exist in your database. Reviewer rules are configured data reviewer checks stored in your geodatabase that assess the quality of features in rows. In the latest release, there are 13 new checks available for use in attribute rule workflows. Some of these checks enable you to assess a feature's attribution in different ways. These include checks which identify values that are not unique or text that doesn't match a predefined pattern, as well as cardinality and relationship rule violations in data sources participating in relationship classes. Other new checks include those that assess the spatial relationship between multiple data sources. These include checks which find errors based on results found from the configuration of multiple reviewer checks, as well as features that do not have a prescribed spatial relationship with other features. Finally, a series of new checks have been added that enable you to assess the integrity of the features in your geodatabase. These include finding polygon features that are slivers, and Z-enabled features that contain Z values outside of a defined range, or those which differ significantly from other values on the same feature. In our first demonstration, Francisco will be assuming the role of a technical lead, who is responsible for implementing data quality requirements using reviewer checks. He'll be implementing a series of rules that support place-finding operations, such as geocoding and routing. These rules are configured on road features and address points, such as homes, buildings, and other locations. A subset of these rules are highlighted in the above table, along with the implementing data reviewer check and participating feature classes. Francisco?
Thank you, Jay. For this demonstration, I will be taking the role of a QA/QC tech lead, looking to implement data quality requirements for the next generation 911 local government data, which I have loaded in my ArcGIS Pro session. I will use this data to provide, as an example, some of the new checks we have available in ArcGIS Pro 2.9 for Data Reviewer. To provide more context about our new rules, I need to access the Attribute Rules pane. For that, I need to right-click against one of the features I want to use in my data quality exercise. In my case, I will be using my Road Center Lines feature. So from the context menu, I can hit Data Design, Attribute Rules. Now, with the Attribute Rules pane open, you can see I have already some configuration set up for my centerline feature. But before I get to elaborate on these settings and reviewer rules, I want to emphasize on other options that become available in the Attribute Rules pane, such as calculation, constraint, and validation rules. Now, calculations, constraints, and validation rules can be configured from scratch as long as you have arcade scripting knowledge. Arcade data validation comes available in ArcGIS Pro, and you can build custom scripts to execute and evaluate specific conditions of your data. It comes, though, with a learning curve that requires users to understand and build in the scripting language a process that can evaluate and return the error results. It is also worth mentioning that building your own script cascades down to maintenance. As the arcade scripting language evolves, updates will be required for your scripts. This is where opting for the data reviewer extension as the choice for automated data validation provides great value for GIS organizations. Now, closing this arcade option, you can see that from the data reviewer ready to use rules gallery, you have access to multiple pre-existing rules that look for conditions in the GIS data that apply to multiple industries. And from the rule configuration pane, all you have to do is to populate a series of settings, and once you're done saving your work, you are ready to evaluate whether the condition is set in the rule to trigger results of your data. Now, to elaborate on the configuration I already have, I can start from top to bottom, and I have basically three rules. The first one is looking for centerline features that have non-unique field values. For that, I'm using my unique field value check for ensuring that one specific field is not storing unique field values for that globally unique ID that the centerline feature is meant to hold. The second rule that I have from top to bottom is to ensure that the globally unique ID field has the right format. For that, I'm using the regular expression check where I am picking the same field to add an expression that ensures that format changes are flagged as issues for that one field as well. And last but not least, what I have is for a check that looks for disconnected center lines in my data. Any center line feature not connected to the endpoint of another center line will be flagged as an error. For that, I'm using my find disconnected polylines. Now, as for my authoring experience demonstration and as a QA/QC tech lead, what I want to do is to enhance this quality control template by adding an extra rule. I understand that as a business requirement, many local governments want to ensure that the centerline feature is broken and snapped when intersected by a municipal boundary, also loaded in my contents pane. And for this, what I want to be able to do is to use the feature on feature check. Now, the feature on feature check is not new for our 2.9 release, but what is new is one of the new capabilities that support more complex spatial operations in the likes of the dimensionally extended 9 intersection model, or DE9IM. Now, DE9IM is a format string of 9 characters that need to be populated in a logical sequence to define a custom spatial operation based on the interior, boundary, and exterior of a feature. Understanding these three categories is very important per each feature type. For example, the interior of a line feature is different from the interior of a polygon feature. A new help topic for the data reviewer is available online for custom relationships. And this topic provides context about the DE9IM logic among many examples. One of the particular examples that I'm looking for is whether the interior of my primary feature is touching the exterior of a secondary feature, in my case, the municipal boundary. I am looking to apply this particular custom string as an example for my demonstration straight from the help content available for data reviewer. Now I'm just going to paste my custom string, and what I need to do now is just add a name. Now I can call it centerline splits at municipal boundary. I can add a description to it. So now that I'm done with my configuration set for my custom spatial relationship feature on feature check, I can save my work and I'm done enhancing this data quality control template for my road centerline feature. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Francisco. So feature validation is controlled by the user and supports the evaluation of all features in the database or only those within a given map extent. In services-based editing workflows, a data editor can validate changed features after editing or asynchronously when validating a large number of new or modified features. In our second demonstration, Francisco will be assuming the role of a data editor who is responsible for creating and maintaining high-quality data for their organization. Francisco?
Thank you, Jay, for our second demonstration. Now that we have enhanced our template of attribute rules to assess the quality of the road centerline feature, I can now take the role of an editor and leverage the automated capabilities available in ArcGIS Pro and also for Enterprise to identify features that do not meet the quality control template requirements reflected as attribute rules here for my road centerline feature. I'm going to close the attribute rules pane. And then from the contents pane, I'm going to open the context menu of my road center lines, and I'm going to enable the error layers in the contents pane. I can make an expansion of it. And then the next thing for me to do is to go to the Edit tab and enable the Error Inspector. Now, from the Evaluate drop-down, I have already settings that I'm choosing. I don't have any batch calculation. I'm just going to run my validation rules. And I'm going to do this against my visible extent, not the full data. And I'm going to choose a different map extent where I know I will find multiple errors pertaining to my quality control template for my road center lines feature class. So the next thing for me to do is to hit evaluate rules from the error inspector. Now that I hit the evaluate rules button, I do expect to find some results in this map extent. As you can see, we have some road center lines that are not splitted at the municipal boundary. We also have a disconnected center line along with a few road center lines that do not have a unique ID value. The last result that I'm seeing here is for a unique ID that does not comply with the specific format that we requested from the regular expression rule. So another thing that I can do from the error inspector is to be able to show the phase and status of these results that I'm finding in my map extent. Now, taking the role of an editor, and for this demonstration, I want to follow up by showing the data reviewer capability for automated phase and status changes for the results that you see on screen. So if, as an editor, I get to properly correct some of these errors, the next time we get to reevaluate the map extent, we should see a phase and status change in these results that I got to fix. This is a capability that automatically assists editors on understanding that their fixes are now compliant with quality control requirements. Now, the first issue I'm going to address has to do with field value not being unique. And I know these two center lines are sharing that same unique value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a modification against the unique value of this center line such that it doesn't match the one from its adjacent center line feature. So I'm going to turn off my error layers. I'm going to select that center line. And I know it matches the same unique ID value of the adjacent center line. So I'm just going to change it. I already know the change that has to be done. I'm going to hit apply. And then I'm going to reevaluate this area to ensure that there's a phase and status change. So as you can see, the two errors that were previously found regarding that unique ID value have now been addressed by the phase and status fields in the error inspector. Now, the next edit I want to be able to demonstrate has to do with the center line not being splitted at the municipal boundary intersection. This is the previous rule that I show in my previous demonstration when we chose DE9IM as a capability for identifying this particular spatial condition. So I'm going to be zooming to this area to fix this particular center line, okay? I'm going to be turning off my error layers. And in this case, I'm just going to be using the split capability to split this center line in two different areas where it crosses the boundary of the municipal boundary feature. Now apply a second split. I'm going to zoom out. And now I'm going to reevaluate this area. So as you can see, there was a fix, but that fix cascades down to other issues because now that I have splitted this center line, I have other center lines with the same unique ID value. So this is a perfect example of how quality control is enforced during editing. You may get to fix one issue, but it may create other issues that need to be addressed and are as important. And with this last example, I conclude our demonstration of automated validation using Data Reviewer. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Francisco. Before we go, here are some resources that you can use to learn more. Information about Data Reviewer can be found by visiting the ArcGIS Pro site. There, you'll find documentation on how to implement automated quality control using Data Reviewer. You'll also find a series of tutorials to help you get up and running quickly. If there are any additional questions or comments, please visit us in the Data Reviewer place in the Esri community. Thanks for watching.